stay online and watch until the very end to get all of your surprises. Okay, so let's wait until our event will start in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so stay online. Today's host. Today we are gathered here together to witness Cybermiles Testnet, Travis, the first operational version of Cybermiles blockchain. Your first question may be, why Travis? What does that name mean? So we want you to first take a guess, and your answers will be answered later. So you will know at the end of this conference why our name is Travis. Okay, let's have a look at today's guests. We have with us Cybermiles CEO and founder, Lucas Liu, Chief Scientist, Michael Yuan, Advisor, Marc Fleury, and our core developer, Timothy Mccallum. We extend a warm welcome to all of them and hope we hear what they have to say today at our conference. And our partners, Robert Mao from ArcBlock and Dylan from LemoChain. They will tell us why they chose Cybermiles as their ecosystem partner. So as you can see, may we see our Zoom friends? As you can see, our friends are on the screen now. Hi there, can you say hello to our audience? Say hello. Ooh, hello. Oh, I see you all, okay. Here on the side, hello. Okay, please stay online, and Lucas will introduce you individually to our audience. So make sure to stay online. Okay, thank you very much. Now, back to Cybermiles itself. Today, the blockchain is changing the whole technological landscape by bringing many benefits such as decentralization, transparency, incorruptibility. However, each blockchain has its own specificities and specialities. Cybermiles aims to facilitate the migration and creation of e-commerce platforms with this technology by offering an optimized blockchain for its purpose. Cybermiles founder, Dr. Lucas Liu, has worked as a pioneer in the e-commerce industry for more than 10 years. Now the question is, when e-commerce meets blockchain, what happens? So to answer this question, we welcome Dr. Lucas Liu to tell us what Cybermiles has done and what its hopes are for the future. Remember, we welcome your questions and comments in our chat forum, so make sure to comment. Welcome, Dr. Lucas Liu.
Thank you, everyone. It's my 12 years. Today, I started do the e-commerce. So in the last 12 years, the world changed a lot. I still remember when I first buy the product from the Taobao. It shipped like 6 to 7 days. I received the package, and the price was pretty expensive. The shipping price. And until today, everyone, on the internet, you can almost buy everything from the internet. And in the last 12 years, the big giant company like the Amazon, like the Alibaba Group, like the Facebook, they become bigger and bigger. And with the time going on, when we look back, we find out that the small companies, the e-commerce companies, they work pretty tough today when they're selling products on the e-commerce platform. So what's going on in the last 10 years, in the 12 years? We know exactly when the company grew big, they make a lot of profit. And the technology was taken care by lots of the big companies such as Google and Facebook and Alibaba Group. So in the last few years, when we look at the new technology such as the blockchain, we find out it's the decentralized technology is actually can help those small business, make them grow more faster. So since last year, we start the new project, which is Cybermiles. So the Cybermiles, our vision is we want to take this new technology and help the small business, let them use the blockchain technology and the digital currency. They can use this technology to help them to lower their cost on the transaction, help them the promotion, help them to selling the product easily. So that is what we are from. Today, we are really happy to announce the trust our Testnet online, and we would like to have more people to join this Testnet and help them to find how the Testnet can help them to improve their business. The Cybermiles blockchain is coming from e-commerce, but it could be beyond the e-commerce. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. I had a look at our live chat forum, and everyone is really thrilled about Cybermiles and our new information that's going to be told today here at our press conference. So next, our speaker will share his thoughts about Testnet. He is actually the founder of the well-known open source project JBoss, but most importantly, an advisor of Cybermiles. Let's welcome Marc. Hi, Marc. Very glad to see you. And you are an open source legend. So what inspired you to come work with Cybermiles?
Well, I knew Dr. Yuan from the past in open source. And when I studied what they're doing with blockchain, I realized no one-size-fits-all will work for all the use cases out there. And I got very impressed by the technology and the attention to scalability that they were paying attention to, because a lot of people talk about blockchain, but when it comes to technology, I really thought Dr. Yuan and his team would be able to give a product that actually works and works at scale.
Mm-hmm. So next, may you tell us more about your story with Cybermiles to our viewers?
Well, very simply, I got interested in Bitcoin a long time ago, but recently when I saw Dr. Yuan start working on the technology underneath it and scale to speeds that really do not exist today in current blockchain, I thought that could prove interesting, because it's about technology that works right now underneath.
So your story with, I heard that also you used to be another, your profession wasn't always this.
Right.
It might have been something else. So I'm wondering, I'm curious as to what your profession brought to you and brought to this, your work with Cybermiles, how it brought you to your work with Cybermiles.
Well, a lot of people talk about open source and open source money specifically in blockchain, and my background in open source allowed me to appreciate really the opportunity that blockchain communities have to grow around tech that actually works. So the whole open source community aspect to building a group of people and pushing a technology out that has to do with blockchain technology, I thought interesting, and so glad I can help with some of the open source aspect.
So you are purely here because of interest, and I really look up to that, because I think a lot of people can't always, we don't always pursue our interests, or we don't always get to the very end of that. So I think, that would be, I was really inspired to hear your story with Cybermiles. And so thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
And, I think now we welcome Lucas to introduce his team on stage. Yes, please introduce the team.
For the team, do we need, by the way, do we need the turn on the Zoom? So okay, so here we are. Yeah, right now we are in the Beijing, and this office is Cybermiles office. We have the team from Beijing. Say hello to everyone. Oh, they are still working. Okay. We have the team from the Dallas, Valley and Andre. Say hello to everyone. Yeah, we have the team from the Taiwan, Luba. Say hello to everyone. We have the team in the another Dallas office, Mark. Oh, he's in the home. Yeah, Mark. Say hello to everyone. We have the team from the Korea, Yuri. Is she connected to online? Okay. Okay. So, and okay, here we are. Yes. Okay. It looks. So the whole team is from the everywhere worldwide. We have the several other offices in the Shanghai and in the U.S. So the team is from all over the world. We believe that the blockchain is a distributed system, and we have the distributed team everywhere. But we get together every one other month to make this project go fast. And by the way, a few minutes ago, I need to mention the Marc Fleury. There was two persons in the whole world for the technology, in the technology world. I truly, I think it's a legendary story. One is Richard Stallman. Probably the old engineers, they know Richard Stallman, which is a GNU founder. And another one is Marc Fleury. And he is the founder of the JBoss. Everyone uses Java. I remember 20 years ago, I started learning the Java. And the JBoss is definitely a very legend story, and sold to Red Hat. So Red Hat is a very successful company. Everyone knows that. So let's welcome everyone, and the whole team is online. Say hello to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. I think the team, a dedicated team, is a very important part to success of Cybermiles. And while Cybermiles has such a strong and dedicated team, and today we will ask one of our team, Michael, to open the core of today's topic, Travis. Let's welcome our chief scientist, Dr. Michael Yuan. Hello, Michael. Maybe please come on stage. So before you talk about what you have to say about Cybermiles, we're going to do a short gift. We're gonna have some screenshots and see who's gonna get our gifts for today.
Okay.
So first, let's see. Now, are your fingers ready? And type your email address in the live chat, and we are going to screenshot some of you via Periscope, YouTube, and Yizhibo. So please type only one email address, because if you type more, they will not be validated and they will not be counted. So only type your email address once. And now Michael is going to pick some of you via each live platform, one screenshot for each platform. And the luckiest ones will be selected at the end of the press conference. We'll share the whole prize pool, gathered at a total of 50,000 CMT. Okay, let's get ready. Each live platform, one screenshot for each platform. We will say 3, 2, 1 together. And the luckiest ones will be selected at the end of the press conference. Okay, let's get ready. Where's our screen, our tech team? Because this broadcast is a little hard to keep.
Yeah, with so many people.
Yeah, to do the screenshot with the live broadcast and different forums, different platforms.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have to wait for the technology to. So remember, for our audience, remember to leave your questions and comments, because our team will get back to you as soon as possible with the answers that you need. So any questions that you have might also be answered at the end of today's press conference. We're going to have a question and answer session. And if they aren't answered there, keep on asking and make sure our team will make sure to answer you. So is our screen ready? Okay, so I guess our screenshot will come our screenshot section will come in a minute. So, yeah, how about you tell us about Cybermiles and what you have to say?
Thank you, Jeremy. My name is Michael Yuan, and I'm the chief scientist at Cybermiles. And I want to introduce you to our global development team. Like Lucas has just said, we have a very distributed team because we are a global company. And we have team in the US, in Dallas, and in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, and but more importantly, we have a large open source community. And first of all, I want to introduce you to one of our core developers and core contributors to the Cybermiles project. He's Tim Mccallum, who's from Australia. Tim, please.
Hello, thank you. Yes, from Australia. As a software developer over many, many years, I've had the opportunity to collaborate with many, many people from all around the globe. To me, code is really a universal language. And what really interests me with Cybermiles was their focus on the technology and the innovation. And probably more so, what really interests me was their focus on optimization. This is, to me, the premise of open source software development, where you can access very powerful software from anywhere in the world, and then you can build on top of that software. And open source software development is a two-way street, because not only can you harness the most powerful software and optimize that for your special application, but on the other hand, you can also contribute back your breakthroughs and your advances back to the community. This is a very healthy and productive model. So I'm very happy to be a Cybermiles developer and to share my experience and time and expertise with this really great project. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, so Well, so we have a large team in Beijing who's mostly working on the blockchain itself, and team is definitely helping us with a lot of those technology and optimization of the blockchains. And but the other aspect, the other most perhaps very difficult and very important aspect of the blockchain is the virtual machine. It's how you run and execute applications on the blockchain. And for that, we have a 6-person team called Cybermiles in Taipei, Taiwan, and they are actually inventing a whole new programming language to be used on the blockchain. Can we switch to the Taiwan team and ask Luba to be here?
We can't connect with them right now?
Yeah, there seems to be a little technical difficulties for the global communication. So everybody is here, everybody's here can come on stage, but everybody who's on Zoom seems to have difficulties connecting. But so anyway, so perhaps I will tell you, instead of Luba telling you, I'll tell you why the virtual machine is so important. So because when we are at perhaps the third revolution of the blockchain, the first one is the Bitcoin, where you have a ledger to keep a record of the transactions. And the second is Ethereum, where you have a virtual machine. Not only you can keep a record of the transactions, you can also execute programs, making the blockchain into a computer. However, as the virtual machine becomes more and more widely used, it becomes a very specialized science. And this type of engineering work has been done in the past with hardware manufacturers. When you make a CPU, when you make a chip, you have to make a virtual machine with compilers, with Java virtual machine, for instance, and virtual machines for the CPU. And you all make those tools and make those infrastructure software to make it work. And this is actually one of the hardest parts in software engineering. And at Cybermiles, if you read our white paper, we are committed to make a new virtual machine that is specialized and optimized for the e-commerce use case, meaning we'll have rule-based programming language, we'll have business process management, all built into the virtual machine. And in order for that to happen, including the compilers and all the tools, we'll have a very dedicated and specialized team that is very good at that. And the Cybermiles team that we collaborated as an open source project in Taipei are a group of, I would say, alpha developers, are very, very, very good programmers who used to work at the major chip manufacturers. And they are very experienced in making this type of virtual machine happen. So this, so Luba is still not here?
Yeah, they're online now.
Okay. Please cut to Luba and ask him to say hi. Hi, Luba. Audio, please.
People can just business rule condition, like the or the price or solution, and our engine will follow the rules and to do the following up actions. We hope it can make the smart contract more easy to understand and more easy to use. We are changing the world with Cybermiles. Yay!
All right, thank you, Luba. Yeah, so if you missed part of it, he's holding up a sign called Liti. Liti is a new programming language we are developing. We asked the Taiwan team to develop. And I know you have a quiz to answer what's Travis and what Liti. I can tell you, that's maybe we'll have this quiz later, but I can tell you now, it's because Ethereum uses Solidity, and we are using liquid Liti. And Liti is also, Ethereum is water, which is burst into flames. That's our vision for the future. All right, okay, so I'm told I shouldn't give you the answer about Travis yet. It would be given at the very end so that you can win a prize. But I'll give you a hint. Travis has something to do with Texas because we have deep roots in Texas. Our U.S. headquarters is in Dallas. So think about that. You can Google it. Anyway, so for the Travis testnet, I want you to look at the slogan. It's we call it SF squared. What does that mean? It's SF squared. Smart, fast, safe, and free. So I'll structure my talk around those 4 characteristics of the Travis testnet. So let's talk about smart first. So why is it so smart? Is that just we saying it's smart, or that's is there any substance for using these words? So, well, Travis is smart because, first of all, it's fully compatible with the Ethereum blockchain. And that alone sets apart against many other attempts in this space, because we are not splitting the community. We are building the same community with Ethereum. And as such, all existing and future Ethereum tools, smart contracts, and applications will be able to run on Cybermiles without any change. That means software code can be reused freely, and we reuse freely between blockchains. This is what we call the code portability between blockchains. Right? Code reuse makes life easier for a lot of people, especially for developers. And it helps us to grow a much bigger community. And so next, I'll show you a video demo that shows you how to use the standard Ethereum tools like Guess on Travis to transact and execute a smart contract. So let's do the video, please. So you can see this is a fairly standard Ethereum smart contract that you can run on the Travis node, and now you can make a transaction. I know it goes really fast because we deliberately sped it up, but you can see this particular contract is what they call ERC20 contract. Most people use it on Ethereum to create new coins. And what we have shown here, this exact same contract can be used on Travis to create new coins on Travis, and then send the newly created test coins from one address to the next. So this is Ethereum smart contract on Travis. So we can cut back to me, please. Finish the video. All right. So at the same time, while we are fully backward compatible with Ethereum, at the same time, our worldview is very different from Ethereum's. We do not believe in this notion of one-size-fits-all world computer, which Marc has just mentioned. We believe optimization. We are enterprise developers. For the past maybe even 40 years of enterprise computing, it has been proven again and again, we have to optimize in order to address specific application use cases. So we envision a future with many, many blockchains. And each of those blockchains is optimized for particular application space, right? So you would have a blockchain for e-commerce, or you could even have a blockchain for finance. You could have blockchain for, say, sharing your rights, a blockchain for sharing hotels, for sharing your house, right? A blockchain for issuing tokens, for issuing securities. We envision a future with many, many blockchains. They're all connected together through a hub. And through that hub, you can exchange assets from one blockchain to another. So that, to echo what I had just said, code portability is one of the goals that we have addressed in the Travis testnet. But for something that's truly smart, we also have to address asset portability, meaning you can move asset from one blockchain to the next. This is something you cannot do today. And this is also something we, as a member of the community, is working with many other projects. So for instance, we are working with the Cosmos projects. We are looking to work with projects like the Polkadot, so all those projects who are working on cross-chain transfer. So that's essentially the worldview that we share with a lot of people in this community. This is the second aspect to say why we say this is smart. Of course, there's a third aspect of being smart. It's to optimize the virtual machine, which I have just introduced our Taiwan team, Luba's team in Taipei to you guys, about a virtual machine that is specially optimized for e-commerce transactions on the blockchain. And we have a new programming language called Liddy, as opposed to Solidity. And And team here is also working on optimization of the blockchain. So we are building something that's when we say smart, you can understand this is something that is heavily optimized for the e-commerce use case, from the blockchain itself, from the virtual machine, from the portability of the code, and from the portability of the assets. That's why we call smart. So SF squared, the first S is smart. Then what's the F? What's the F? The second F is fast. So while Travis is fully compatible with Ethereum, it's also 100 times faster than Ethereum. Now you might think, okay, this is how is that even possible? That's it sounds implausible, right? How did we do it? Well, because we are building, I would say a third generation blockchain, and Ethereum is more of a second generation blockchain. They pioneered most of the work that we do today. However, one of the things that we can definitely improve on is the consensus mechanism. So we used a new consensus mechanism known as the delegated proof of stake to replace Ethereum's proof of work. If you think about it, the proof of work is what Bitcoin used for consensus. And it generates a huge amount of useless work in order to find the next hash, in order to find the next lottery, right? And it consumes a huge amount of electricity and computing power in order to do so. So that's part of the reason why it makes the blockchain so slow. For us, we are changing to a new model. So instead of having people find the hash, we are having people vote. So proof of stake, meaning you can vote to reach a consensus, pretty much like our human society do. And however, another step from the proof of stake is dedicated proof of stake, meaning you can elect your representative to vote for you, which is, I think, after thousands of years of human society evolution, the human society has come to this consensus. This is probably the best political system that we can reach, in the human society at least. So you will have some people voting their representatives, and the representatives are professional, we call them validators. In our blockchain, we call them validators. They are the professionals who can run the network, but also represent the interest of the token holders. So that's, through this mechanism, we call delegated proof of stake, and you hear it often. It's called DPoS, DPoS. And we can dramatically increase the speed of the blockchain. So if we say Ethereum today is about, if you do regular transactions, it's about 13 transactions per second. And if you do smart contract, it's about 8 transactions per second. So let's cue another video to show our testnet in action to see the transactions it can run. So here we are loading up the load, and this is and this is not fast. This is not fast forward. This is regular speed, and you can see all the transactions coming from that machine. So those are the two computers, right? That machine is the client who's running the transaction, and here is on the blockchain the transaction is being processed, executed, and recorded. And you can see even with the testnet, which essentially is beta software, and there's lots of optimization that's still left to be done. I think we can reliably, here it shows slightly over 1,000 transactions per second. I think in our environment, in a global network, we can easily reach 13,000 transactions per second. So that's why we say we are 100 times faster than Ethereum. We are fully compatible with it, but 100 times faster than it. And the secret sauce is that we use a different consensus mechanism than Ethereum. So about a week ago, we launched the Travis Testnet Early Access Program. And a lot of people have signed up to join this program and test it. So we have participants from major universities, such as the University of Texas, Texas A&M University, University of Pennsylvania, Tsinghua University, and University of Science and Technology in China. And we also have participants from major corporations, including Alibaba and Yongyo. And those are they have reported very consistent results from testing the network from outside of the blockchain. And they have reported very consistent results as our internal tests that I've just shown you. So another interesting aspect of our blockchain is that we can execute the smart contract almost as fast as the regular transactions. And the reason why is because there's no, again, this goes to the detailed mechanism of POW and the depots. And because when you do the regular transaction, there's lots of spare CPU time that is still not being optimized. So when you do the smart contract, you use up all the spare CPU. So for the smart contract transactions, we can actually reach a similar speed as the coin transaction. So making it about 200 times faster than Ethereum. It's just something I want to mention. So this is the second. This is the first SF. Now SF squared, the second SF, the second set of SF. The first, it's safe. So we put safety first. I'll ask Tim to come back on stage again to talk to us about why Cybermiles is safe.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, so obviously fund safety is a very big part of e-commerce platform. And unfortunately, as we've seen in the past on traditional blockchain implementations, there's been a large amount of funds lost through various reasons. So Cybermiles takes a two-pronged approach to dealing with these issues. Firstly, they are preventing the common issues, and we're looking for patterns. And so a good example of this would be in Ethereum, where you're sending a token to like a contract address and you're just losing those funds. We're able to actually just identify that and not let that happen. So if you try to do that with Travis, Travis will just reject that transaction and there'll be no loss of funds. So this pattern matching and detection is a big part of this first prong approach. On the other hand, we, obviously putting in all the best preventative measures, there still is potentially loss of funds for other reasons out of our control. And in the second prong approach, we feel as a community, we really have a duty to look after the customers and the end users and to recover any funds that are lost. And so how this works is essentially we are punishing the bad actors, that is to recover lost funds and return them to the rightful owner. And we've done it in a different way. That's been done traditionally in blockchain implementations. As you would know from the past, you will see a loss of funds will result in division in the community and some different ideas about whether to perform a hard fork. And so, if that goes ahead, you then end up with potentially two blockchains, like a classic and a standard blockchain, and this creates problems on many levels. And so, in a way, we could even say that's quite a centralized decision because we're actually deciding that hard fork would occur. So what we like to do in Cybermiles as part of this second prong approach is to actually have this like a collaborative decision with the important people on the network, i.e., as Michael was talking about, the validators. So again, in a voting system, we'd have an actual recovery proposal. So this might even be combined with some physical real-world evidence where we are just looking out in the best interests of the end user to recover their funds. So we'll find out what we need to do and perform a recovery proposal, and that proposal will be voted upon by all the parties staking in the system, validators and so forth, and will obviously involve a bit of human intervention, but it will just, the important part here is that everything is publicly transacted, so you can see. It's a very transparent process, is what I'm trying to say. And so ultimately, when a vote occurs, we do the right thing and any funds that are lost can be recovered. And yes, this is, I think, on-chain governance is a very important part of blockchain's future. So back to you, Michael.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Tim. Yeah, this is, we consider this is one of our major innovations because, when you think about technology innovation, in the past, people have always talked about, when you say software engineering, it's about the code, but the blockchain has changed the calculus, right? That's, you are not only have to engineer the code, but you also have to engineer the rules, engineer the ecosystem, right? Like Tim has said, to have a transparent process so that people can recover their money. That is really not traditional software engineering, but system engineering, incentive engineering or economic system engineering, however we put it, right? That's I think we are having whole new academic study fields to to analyze things like that. Anyway, so thank you, Tim. SF squared, last F. Finally, we are free. So someone just asked me, is it free as free in beer or free in freedom? Because those are two meanings in English language for free, right? That's, we are from open source, we all know that. But I say it goes without saying that we are free in freedom, because this is what blockchain is all about. However, we are also free in beer, as free of charge. And what does that even mean? That's your open source network and stuff like that. What does free of charge mean? So when we are heavy Ethereum users and Bitcoin users and other users of other blockchains, and we find one of the most confusing aspects of using a blockchain-based system is the transaction fees. So when we issued CMT, that's a lot of people bought CMT from the market, right, or received CMT. But then they soon find out if you want to transfer CMT to someone else, you have to get ETH first because you have to pay gas, right? That's, I think for most people, it's very counterintuitive. It's like, I have euro, but I can't give my euro to someone else. I have to get dollars first, right? That's, and not a large amount of dollars, just a couple cents of dollar, right? That's, so for users, this is endlessly confusing, and I think caused a lot of problems. And so we are eliminating transaction fees, not from the aspect of, giving away free stuff, giving away, freebies, but to eliminate this major source of user confusion. And also, but a nice side effect of no transaction fee is it enables many other use cases. So for instance, when you think about cryptocurrency-based payments, a lot of people think about micropayment. A lot of people actually have this idea of a content system where you read an article and you give a fraction of a cent, right? You give a very small micropayment. But with the transaction fee in place, this system can never be implemented because on Bitcoin today, the transaction fee is $20, and so you cannot send 1 cent on Bitcoin. That's just too expensive. And by eliminating the transaction fees, we are enabling whole new use cases for our blockchain. But people say, wait a minute, is that if you can eliminate, so what enables you to eliminate the transaction fee? Is that because you guys are so smart? No, that's there's very good reasons for transaction fees, because transaction fees are necessary for the security of the blockchain. If you think about it, if a blockchain is truly free as beer, free of charge, someone could easily abuse the system, like they abuse email today. That's why you see so many email spams today, right? So someone could create accounts A and B and put a little amount of money in A, and then make a billion transactions from A to B and back. That's going to overload the blockchain and create a huge security issue, right? So that's why most people, when they look at a blockchain-based system, I think they are either unable to implement a free transaction fee system, or the system they implemented is unsafe, because they were only able to implement it because they don't have a volume like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So how did we do it? Again, this is to me, this is not traditional software engineering, but systems engineering. That's, we approach it from system point of view. Because when you think about it, I have just outlined the attack that could happen on this blockchain. And with zero transaction fee, we can actually put something in front of the blockchain to figure out whether attack is happening or not, right? It's pretty much like the spam filters email systems use today. You could have algorithm, even have artificial intelligence algorithm, even have something that is machine learned algorithm to figure out when attack is happening and charge transaction fees for those attackers, right? So that's actually exactly what we have implemented on the testnet. So this is something we can see right now. So let's play the video, please. Oh, this goes pretty fast. This goes pretty fast. It shows a transaction. So if you are familiar with Ethereum, this is really easy to see. The account has this much. I know you can't see my hand, but the first line of code shows the account has a certain amount of money, a lot of it actually, and then this ETH. In fact, it should be CMT, send transaction from an account to another account, and here we say gas price is 0, meaning that in this particular case, we want the system to say, we are declaring ourselves as a good player and want the system to waive the transaction fee for us. And when the system sees that, when the system determines that we are not a spammer, it makes the transaction, and then you will see in the to account, you get 1 coin. And in the from account, it was deducted 1 coin, and there's no gas fee deducted anywhere from those 2 accounts. So this is why we say it's the way we have implemented free. But you can complete the video now. Anyway, so I think the zero transaction fee has really opened up many possibilities, and if you are really interested in how we have implemented those rules, those anti-spam rules, and how, as Tim mentioned, how we have implemented the governance rules to have validators vote to recover funds for hacks, you are more than welcome to come to our GitHub repository and check out our open source projects that has been very actively developed. And you can also see the new programming language we are developing and all that. So, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed the preview of the Travis testnet. We're gonna very soon after this news conference, we're gonna release details on that we have given to the early access early testers how to access the Travis testnet from your own computer. And before I leave the stage, I want to say something. I want to look beyond our testnet, because this is the first version of the Cybermiles blockchain, and this is the fruits of our global collaboration. And we are claiming that we are SF squared, right? Smart, fast, safe, and free. And each of those aspects going to see a lot more improvement in the coming months. When our mainnet launches in a few months, that you will see a lot more optimization, a lot more polish. And so looking to the future, I want to show you a video that the team has created called Alice and Bob to show what type of e-commerce transactions or what kind of usage scenarios that could possibly be implemented on the Cybermiles blockchain. That is perhaps difficult to implement on today's blockchain because they are not optimized for things like that. So before I leave stage, let's have a look into the future. Let's look at the Alice and Bob video, please.
Asset transparency across blockchains. Supply chain. A Cybermiles e-commerce supply chain smart contract is set up to notify the seller once a payment is received. The payment has to be in a combo of ETH, BTC and CMT. Alice is the seller. She sets up a Cybermiles smart contract to watch 3 accounts on Ethereum, Bitcoin and Cybermiles blockchains. Bob sends the required ETH, BTC and CMT to those accounts with his shipping address. The smart contract detects the transfer and automatically notifies the warehouse to ship the product. The smart contract monitors the shipping receipts and delivery receipts. It closes the transaction once the goods is delivered. Decentralized exchange. We'll use CMT and ETH exchange as an example, but this can be done for any pair of tokens issued on the Ethereum and Cybermiles blockchains. Bob puts up a smart contract to buy CMTs at a price in ETH and deposits CMTs into this account. The smart contract watches Bob's account on Ethereum. Alice sends ETH from her own account to Bob's account on Ethereum. The smart contract automatically sends CMTs to Alice's corresponding address on the Cybermiles blockchain. Built-in cryptographic support in the VM, a secure data marketplace. Bob is a cancer patient. His complete medical record is in a public database, but encrypted with his own public key, so no one can actually read it and no one knows who the record belongs to. But the database aggregates certain fields, such as diagnosis, and makes them searchable. The search results show Cybermiles accounts of patients who match the search criteria, but give no personal details. Alice is a medical researcher who's recruiting for a clinical trial. She searches the database and found Bob's account number matching her criteria. Alice creates a smart contract and offers CMTs to purchase Bob's record and permission to contact Bob in person. Bob sees the contract and verified that Alice is a reputable researcher. Bob decides to accept the offer. Bob creates an encrypted data capsule with Alice's public key and uploads it into the smart contract. The smart contract verified the integrity of the capsule and releases the CMT fund to Bob. Alice sees the capsule and uses her private key to decrypt Bob's record in the public database.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much to our team for Bob and Alice. Next, LemoChain will share their vision for choosing Cybermiles as for their project's development. So let's welcome LemoChain.
Cool, okay, there I am. Moving forward. On to the presentation, please. There we go. So I'd really like to congratulate Cybermiles on everything they've done so far. It's an amazing project, and I'm really excited to announce this awesome partnership we have coming up. But to do so, I'm going to explain a little bit more about LemoChain and exactly why we're such a perfect fit. So what LemoChain is a decentralized infrastructure. Oh, there we go. What LemoChain is a decentralized infrastructure for business data circulation. Set up by the non-profit Lemo Foundation, what we're trying to do is integrate blockchain into our everyday lives. So through providing an easily accessible platform for businesses to monetize and exchange their valuable but underutilized customer data, we're going to accelerate blockchain's integration through increasing its overall commercial relevance. What we're also trying to do is break down the existing data oligopolies. So what these are major corporations such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon who own large amounts of customer data and create a huge barrier to entry to the small businesses who want to access data, as it's a hugely valuable resource being coined as the new oil. So what our end goal is to do is to make businesses of all sizes significantly more competitive through simplified data access and a new profit tool via data monetization. So what we're trying to do is trying to solve three key problems. Skip forward. Okay. The first of these problems is accessibility. So what I mean by this, data accessibility is an issue that we face today, and businesses are currently highly unavailable to get hold of this highly valuable data. So what we're trying to do is create the base infrastructure for data marketplace creation. So this is for industry-specific data marketplaces which want to connect their industry and small businesses to medium-sized within their industry. We've already had a few industry specialists come to us and try and set up their infrastructures. So Loveblock and EduBlock. Loveblock is within the dating app industry, and what they're trying to do is connect users from different dating apps, because the end goal, if you're using these apps, is to find love. So we're going to connect these and make sure there's an efficient flow of users and love seekers in the dating apps. The other one is EduBlock. EduBlock is focusing on the private education industry. If you come to China, you'll see it. It's everywhere. Private education is rife. And we want to connect those students who are trying to learn more. So connecting those students from math schools with English schools and math schools, and so on. We also have the Lemon Business Card, which will be the essential digital business card, which will be associated with businesses on the Lemon blockchain. The next issue we saw was to do with the security and transfer of data today. Current data purchasing methods are not secure So to purchase data at the moment, you have to navigate an unsafe and easily hackable centralized data silo. What we're going to do is introduce IPFS storage. So it's a distributed storage method which will save these from hacking and make it much safer, particularly in regards to data storage. Also, we see the way that buying and selling data today is inefficient. So to buy data, what you'll do is access this centralized silo and basically purchase a package of data, say users in Manhattan, much of which is just not useful. What we're going to do is use homomorphic encryption and secure multi-party computation to create a data matchmaking infrastructure, matching the most relevant data to the perfect fit buyer. The final issue that we see is regards to blockchain's universal commercial relevance. So when I speak to small to medium-sized business owners, particularly like my dad, he sees blockchain as something, it's an amazing new technology, but it's not going to be introduced by the small business owners for a while. He sees it as something that is going to be used by the big companies and then trickle down. We really want to make sure blockchain is fully integrated into businesses of all sizes. So to do this, we're going to create a tool for businesses to use and appreciate blockchain. Also, we're going to make the blockchain easily accessible by creating and developing easy-to-access APIs and SDKs to enter the LemoChain infrastructure. Okay, we're missing the last slide, but I'd like to just really introduce what we're going to do with Cybermiles. So we saw ourselves as a perfect fit. Cybermiles is a great e-commerce platform that is really focusing on bringing blockchain universally and into businesses of all sizes. We saw this as a perfect fit for the partnership, so what we're going to be doing with them is focusing on our community development and our research and development. So we're going to be using Cybermiles' test chain to test LemoChain-based products in the future. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I'm really excited as we move forward with Cybermiles on our fantastic projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, LemoChain. And alongside LemoChain, we also have ArcBlock that has already chosen Cybermiles as their blockchain. Now today, their CEO is here to tell us a bit more information about this collaboration.
I just saw the demo. It's so amazing. It's congratulations, guys. So it's really excited to be here to see this exciting moment. And today, after I see the demo, I think it's a great. It basically says it's a great decision that we made to become the partner of Cybermiles. As some of you might know what ArcBlock is, I can give a little bit introduction about what we do. So basically, ArcBlock is a platform as a service to help the developers to develop blockchain applications. And the ArcBlock, as a platform itself, is also powered by blockchain. So we can have this transparent and open billing and operation support system. So we can bring up all those partners, work together to build up this platform together with us. Unlike the traditional cloud computing platforms such as AWS or Windows Azure, it's run and controlled by a large organization, and ArcBlock tried to be a platform that is started by us, but building together with all the partners. And thanks for the blockchain technology to make this all become possible. In the ArcBlock, we actually have a few pretty critical components. One of the very important components we called Open Chain Access Protocol. The Open Chain Access Protocol is actually fixing one of the very important problems for a lot of developers when they're deciding what kind of a blockchain technology to choose, because there's so many different blockchains in the market, and even with the same blockchain, you can have different deployment. And Open Chain Access Protocol just makes it much easier for the developers to pick what kind of technology to use and what kind of deployment to use. And as we announced before, we are going to support Ethereum and Hyperledger as a priority. And today, after seeing the great demo from the Cybermiles, I think definitely we need to increase the priority to support the Cybermiles. And thanks for the design of the Cybermiles. It is compatible with Ethereum. That makes the whole thing much easier. And I think this is really exciting news to have. As a lot of blockchain new developers might easily get confused, is what is the blockchain applications and what is the blockchain itself? Even with a great blockchain like Cybermiles, if you really need to develop a full applications, you still need a lot of other things other than the blockchain itself. And full blockchain applications, it need on-chain and off-chain computing resources and the resources to make to give the end user a great user experience. So ArcBlock actually help the developers to bridge the gap between today's blockchain's experience to the modern mobile and web experience, and so that hopefully make the blockchain applications to the next level with a great user experience and a fast performance. And with the power, with a powerful Cybermiles blockchains, I think that will really push this to the next level. And also, I think in the future, I think the e-commerce will definitely be a really critical part for many different applications, especially in the decentralized DApps. So the different apps can probably work together with the tokens and the token exchange and token economic. So the e-commerce might become a fundamental solutions, a fundamental components for many of the different applications. So I believe the Cybermiles blockchain, which is aimed to optimize for e-commerce, really will become a really critical role in the whole ecosystem. And ArcBlock will join Cybermiles to bring a great developer experience, to bring a new world of the decentralized apps. And thanks a lot, and thanks you guys.
Thank you very much to ArcBlock. And so I'm very excited to hear about this ArcBlock and Cybermiles collaboration. Next, we have a few questions from our viewers. So there have been many questions online for all of you. So please come on, come Dr. Lucas Liu, Dr. Michael Yuan, Dr. Marc Fleury, and Timothy. Please come on stage and let's have a question and answer session. So our viewers have been asking many important questions. Our online chat forum has been, the questions have been coming in. And the first question is for Michael. What is the difference between EOS and Cybermiles? How do you solve the problem of the bribe of the supernode?
Well, we try not to comment on other projects, but since this is a question, we'll explain some technical differences. So EOS, well, there's many similarities first. We both use DPoS. We are building a new blockchain system that is collaborating with Ethereum, right? So those are similarities. However, EOS shares the same worldview as Ethereum, which is one size fits all. It's the world only needs one blockchain. It's called EOS, right? We are very different. We are willing, and we are actually doing specific optimizations for e-commerce. So I think that's perhaps the biggest difference in terms of worldview. However, in terms of mechanism design, it's just like I mentioned in my talk earlier. It's because we are asked the boundary of the supernode. They will have a contest of becoming the supernode. So there was offline bribery and things like that. We put a huge focus not only on software engineering, but also on economic system engineering. Why I say that? Because bribery is not going to happen on our blockchain, because we have a built-in bribery mechanism. People can bribe them on the chain. So the validators and the stakers can share their interest, not through an off-chain mechanism, it's called bribery, but they can have an on-chain protocol to share their profits. Right? By normalizing this and by having a mechanism that enables this, what people clear needs, right? That's to address this clear needs. We hope to at least make this process transparent so that people can see who's paying whom, for how much, for what rights, right? Instead of having everything opaque, off-chain. So I guess that's part of the subtle differences that we have with EOS.
Okay, and the next few questions are still for Michael. So You'll have to answer the next one. Why do you say that you are a blockchain providing smart contract specialized for e-commerce? And please hold the microphone closer to your, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So our notion is really there's general smart contracts and there's optimized smart contracts. So general smart contracts is what we have on, say, most blockchains have today. However, you can also see many problems. So if you, I think people have done code audits, to look at Solidity code, the kind of bugs in Solidity codes. And I think the results, if I remember it correctly, is 100 obvious bugs per 1,000 line of code. And that's Mark's laughing here because we used to do banking software, and it's software that manage money has 100 bugs per 1,000 lines of code. This is extremely scary, right? That's but that's not developers' fault because people are that's you can never blame the user. You can never say, I designed the most beautiful system, or I designed the most correct system. We are all physicists here. We all know, what is correct, right? But you cannot say that I know better than the users. I know better than the programmers. That's the lesson we learned from, open source many times over. So what we do is that we make it easier for the programmers. So it's the origin of the, you saw that Luba's Taiwanese team, and they were working on a new programming language called Lily. And it's incorporating the traditional, I wouldn't say traditional, it's the proof and the true open source middleware, like JBoss, like, those middleware has already been used in the banks, and makes them available on the blockchain in the virtual machine so that people make much less mistakes. That's where we say optimized smart contracts.
Okay, the next question is still for you, Michael. Since you use the system of DPoS, what benefits will get the node runners?
The node runners, I presume, is the supernodes or the validators, right? So the validators get income from two sources. One is the inflation that's built into the system, and the second is the transaction fees for the spam transactions that for the heavy users that the system decides to take the transaction fee, right? So the validators can actually, we have not really finalized how many validator nodes we're going to have on our system. We are still watching how other people do it, right? So that's mostly likely it's between 21 to 100 to 99, it's somewhere in that range. So the validators can have a substantial income by helping in maintaining the network. However, we also have an on-chain mechanism for the validator to share his profit with his stakers. It's the bribery problem that we just talked about. Instead of having people do it offline, we have a protocol level support to do it on the chain. So so the exact amount the validator gonna make depends on how much you can convince the community to stake you. So if you are a really reputable person and if you do a really good job, then people would stake you for lower amounts of compensation, right? People would stake you for free, right? That's it's possible, and then you keep all the inflation, and that's where we say optimized smart contracts.
Okay, the next question is still for you, Michael. Since you use the system of DPoS, what benefits will get the node runners?
The node runners, I presume, is the supernodes or the validators, right? So the validators get income from two sources. One is the inflation that's built into the system, and the second is the transaction fees for the spam transactions that for the heavy users that the system decides to take the transaction fee, right? So the validators can actually, we have not really finalized how many validator nodes we're going to have on our system. We are still watching how other people do it, right? So that's mostly likely it's between 21 to 100 to 99, it's somewhere in that range. So the validators can have a substantial income by helping in maintaining the network. However, we also have an on-chain mechanism for the validator to share his profit with his stakers. It's the bribery problem that we just talked about. Instead of having people do it offline, we have a protocol level support to do it on the chain. So so the exact amount the validator gonna make depends on how much you can convince the community to stake you. So if you are a really reputable person and if you do a really good job, then people would stake you for lower amounts of compensation, right? People would stake you for free, right? That's it's possible, and then you keep all the inflation and all the transaction fees. However, if you really need to convince people to do it, you may pay them a lot. You may pay them. You may make very little. So that's our way of having a positive feedback to filter out the best validators in the system.
Okay, so the last question for Michael is, what's next? Second testnet or a mainnet or?
There will be more testnets, and later you will learn why the testnet is called Travis, and it will become really apparent why we will have a second testnet and more. And then after that, obviously, we will have the mainnet. But as all the software, it iterates, right? It goes from one test to the next, then to the next, from alpha to beta, and then goes so on and so on.
Okay, this next question is for Lucas. Thank you, Michael.
I previously worked in the Lightning in the Box. We have already talked with the Lightning in the Box. It's an e-commerce company which you sold the product to 180 countries. We will partner with them. Every year, their revenue around 400 million US dollar. So that's my last company. So I was the CTO over there 4 to 5 years ago. So we will work with them. It's a pretty big one.
Okay, so the next few questions are still for you, Lucas. Have you been approached by Chinese e-commerce platforms such as Alibaba?
Not officially. Actually, our company another company 5 Miles. We have the investors from the founder of funding from the Ali Group. So we do have the very close connection with them. At the same time, when the testnet in the last few days, we do see several the engineers from Alibaba Group who join our testnet testing.
Okay, so since the last question for you, Lucas, is since you specialize yourself in e-commerce, what does it mean? Does it mean you are going to provide a complete solution to its business, including logistics, delivery, etc.?
No, because the e-commerce is the idea is very, very huge. We're a technology company, so basically we will give the infrastructure for the e-commerce companies such as C2C and B2C logistic. But there was, and also we probably will do the payment. But there was lots of offline projects, offline companies, such as the shipping, such as the logistic and tracking. So those companies, they are still will work with us. We cannot do their business. They have like 10,000 of the employees. So we provide our infrastructure for them and let them to improve their system. So that's our idea. We still focus on the infrastructure.
Okay, thank you, Lucas. Now, our next question is for Tim. What differs you from Ethereum's smart contract?
Essentially, because we are optimizing our own virtual machine, which is at a very low level, we're able to go above and beyond what's capable of just in the standard Ethereum virtual machine and customize our system. So for example, when you write a smart contract in a high level language, that gets compiled down to say bytecode, and then that obviously runs on the Ethereum virtual machine as opcode. So we can look right down that deep and we can say, well, we can build more functionality, more computation, and we can write pre-compiled smart contracts and so forth. So a lot of opportunities and very smart developers on the team.
Okay, thank you. I see our tech team also has another question. 2 more questions. Okay. I think, is this added on to our original questions that have been asked? Okay, a few more. Okay. So thank you, Tim. And here are a few more questions for Lucas and all of you. Where are you actually based, Lucas?
The company is very decentralized. I'm original from China, and I got my PhD in the SMU in Dallas, and then I back to China, working in the Alibaba Group, and we set up a new company, Light in the Box, and then I back to US in Dallas. The team we have the origin. 5 years ago we have the 2 offices, one in Beijing, one in Dallas. Today we have employee in San Francisco, in Shanghai, in Australia, and do we have in Taiwan and in Korea. So
all over the world.
All over the world.
In the West and in Asia. And so the next question is, what issue do you face with regulators?
I believe it's today all the company and lots of projects. We are using cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is much different with the blockchain. Blockchain is the technology, but when you do the project, you will take advantage of the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency today is still, I believe, is lots of government they still cannot understand what the cryptocurrency is. So we will follow the rules. We will follow the governance. We will follow the ICC rules in the US and also in the other countries like Korea. But anyway, we believe the future of the cryptocurrency is very bright, and everyone will have or use it in the future.
Thank you, Lucas. And the next 2 questions are for Tim. Compared to the Lightning Network deployed on Bitcoin's blockchain, how fast are you?
So this is a question, I'll just do a bit of explaining first on the topic. So with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, obviously you have the Bitcoin software, which is the original base layer protocol. So the Lightning Network is something that's additional to that. So it's over and above that. And so you could call that a second layer solution. I think the important thing to discern here is what Michael was talking about before, is the consensus mechanism. So with Bitcoin, you've got that proof of work consensus mechanism where you have transactions, they go into a block, and the block's mined by miners, and that occurs roughly every 10 or 12 minutes. And so essentially that consensus mechanism there works ongoing, and then the Lightning Network's over and above that. With Cybermiles, our consensus mechanism is very different and it's extremely fast. So it's actually, ours is actually built into our base layer protocol as part. It ships with the product. So it's a different scenario. Yeah.
Okay, so one last question for you, Tim. What are your main issues with Ethereum that make you create a whole new blockchain?
So I think one of the important things is looking into some issues like I mentioned earlier, where it's actually possible because you have 2 types of addresses in Ethereum. So they actually share the same account space. So you can have a user account, and you can also have a smart contract address. So at the moment, you can actually send a token to a smart contract address, and that will actually just, you'll lose the token. So in our situation, we're actually built into the system where that can't happen. So we're going and creating a lot of new ideas and pattern matching and a lot of clever design to prevent anything happening to the end users, to protect them.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So next is for the last 2 questions are for Marc. As JBoss's founder, what do you think about Cybermiles?
Well, I got very interested in the open source experience of the team, and in how open source allows the blockchain to propagate, and how that helps redefine almost what a supply chain means in e-commerce, where you don't have to necessarily rely on one proprietary vendor and the trust with that vendor, but rather you put the notion of trust on the community as supply chain in e-commerce. And I find that very powerful, an idea, an application of the principle of open source sharing and open source trust, or lack thereof, interestingly enough, whereby we can now even address not just software development, software deployment, but even supply chains in e-commerce. So I like to see that open source experience applied to something as important as what does it mean to do business as a corporation nowadays.
And what would you think about using blockchain in e-commerce? So you'd like to see some more of that, and how do you think that would work out?
Well, you know, when Satoshi wrote the paper of open source money, he did not envision, I think, what would happen with miners, etc., because we cannot use it as a money. You cannot do transactions with 7 transactions a second or what have you. So take any e-commerce approach, specifically the Chinese one, and you have an order of magnitude, several order of magnitudes in optimization and speed. And so when we deal with, a Bitcoin in general, meaning stores of value, just as gold, or Ethereum, where you deal with smart contracts, but not many of them, I think if we want really to go to e-commerce type volumes, then, as discussed by Tim and Michael, the consensus algorithms need to change, because burning a forest to do 7 transactions a second doesn't really make sense. So if we have application for a blockchain type technology, it needs to scale a lot more and hence efforts like what they're doing at Cybermiles.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, and thanks to all of you for our question and answer session.